Here's what we're doing today. I recently took delivery on this puppy. This is the Shaper Origin handheld or human operated robotic router. It's basically a CNC. It's a hand pushed, hand operated CNC. Very, very different and very less automated than a regular CNC machine. Now, I'm in a super, super small workshop. So I thought, well, I'd like to have a CNC or some of the attributes of a CNC, but I don't have the space. Although I'm rethinking that after experiencing this for a while. So this is a first impressions. Uh, it is something that you can go to software and create something such as an Adobe Illustrator. You can create a template or a layout or some graphics or some sign or letters or odd shapes or whatever you want. So you design your layout and you save that as a SVG file. And then you can transfer that file to your Shaper Hub account uh, on the internet, and then you come here, and this is Wi-Fi connected. So assuming you got Wi-Fi in your workshop, and you don't have to have it. There's a little thumb screw, a little thumb drive. I'll spit it out. Come on, give an old guy a break. So there's a thumb drive that you could load your file on that and then put it into here. So I'm going to demonstrate it for you, but first I wanted to describe the setup here. We have, I've created a workstation, and on this workstation I kind of have a cutout for a temporary workpiece. This is the workpiece that I'm actually going to carve into. So I can engrave, or I can carve, or I can take out an entire section. So I might want to create some jigs. You see my black vacuum thing there. I just did that earlier today. Well, you can't see it because my head's in the way, but right here I did this earlier today with 4 circles in it to hold my vacuum accessories, and I cut those circles on the CNC here. Now, I would never do that if I could use just a regular, circle cutter of the right size, which I probably could have done for that, but I want to learn this thing. So, why did you do that? So anyway, oh, I know, I probably got an auto follow thing on there. The all right, did I probably a different session here, but all right, I'm back. Probably a brand new recording, right? My Mevo camera powered down right in the middle of that last session, so I don't know if we started a new one or if this is a continuation of the old one. But anyway, I think we're live. The if anybody happens to join us, if you could give me a comment, then I would know that we're live. You guys always have to do this, right? You always got to watch me. All right. Again, don't know if anybody else is here, but say hello when you join. And I'll edit out some of this when I get this posted. I can always cut off the front of it. So let me start over again. I received this week this device. It's called a Shaper Origin. It's a handheld CNC. In other words, instead of going to a CNC table and putting your workpiece on that and then programming a computer uh, with your CAD, computer-aided design software, and then uploading that and running a CNC regularly, which is really, really cool because a regular CNC can operate automatically while you're doing something else if you programmed it properly. So once you get through the learning curve, those are terrific. Now, I'm in a one-car garage workshop, and I just figured I didn't have room for any decent size of a CNC table, so that maybe I'd like to have something where I could put it on top of my workbench. I guess it would always be possible to have a big CNC and somehow store it on a wall or somewhere. I don't think you'd want to do that, but again, this is what I thought might be a solution, and this is my first impression. It's from Shaper Tools. It's actually made by Festool, and it's a hand-pushed, hand-operated, computer-assisted CNC. Well, that's what CNC stands for, computer numerical control. So it allows you, like a regular CNC, to go to your software and create a design, whether that be a logo or a sign or a mortise or a tenon or a dovetail or a whole bunch of things, and create that in your software, and then download it to, you can download it to this machine, or you download it to your account on what's called SuperHub. And then you can, this is Wi-Fi connected if you have Wi-Fi in your workshop, which I do. And then I hope the sound's all right. I'm using my AirPods, they call it, to talk to my iPad to pick up the sound. So hopefully it's okay. Uh, the So the way this works is you get the device, and you get a bunch of tape. Tape's pretty expensive. A roll of it is like $16 or $18. And you need that tape in a fairly large area around what would be your workpiece. I have a little workpiece here that's about 14 by 13, and I'm going to carve something in here just for the demonstration to show you how this thing works. And so I've got this workstation with an insert. I've got this in here. This is secured with double-sided tape. Underneath, I have a sacrificial board. So I've got a 3/4 inch plywood scrap board that I had, Baltic birch in this case. Probably shouldn't have wasted it. And then on top of that, I have 3/4 inch. In other words, this insert here needs to be the same height as my platform, if you will. So if I was doing a 1/2 inch in here, I'd either have to raise it to the same height, or I'd have to have maybe a 1/2 inch platform for that application. All right, so that's the setup. You get all these tapes all around. You take the device when you first set up all the tapes, and you do a scan. Before I demonstrate, let me just talk about the pros and cons of this. The way I think of this is a virtual template maker. A regular CNC is better if you can fit one in your shop, and as long as your work you want to take it to fits. I don't think you'd want to buy this if you have a regular CNC, because it's not cheap, folks. This puppy is, for me, with the basic, I think it's $24.99, but then there's an extra price if you want to have 2-year warranty. I think it's new enough, even though it's made by Festool. I just decided I'm not going to spend that kind of money and then have it break down on me. So I spent the extra $500 for the 2-year total service replacement plan. And then there's obviously sales tax, at least in California, USA. So when I'm all done, $3,424 and some odd cents. I could buy a really nice Sawstop for that, but I've already got my Sawstop, so this is something. You know how the difference between men and boys as far as their toys is the price of their toys. So this is a very expensive toy. I'm hoping I'll get a lot of use out of it. There is a 30-day return policy. So if you get one, don't be stupid like I was. I didn't even know there was a 30-day return policy. So I kind of destroyed the packaging. Then they say, hey, if you ship it back in the original container, then you can get a refund. Well, I'm probably going to keep it anyway. So this is just a way to do things without having to create a template. You're going to create a virtual template in software. It's a small footprint, so I can put it in it comes in a sustainer. So it comes with a really nice sustainer. And guess what? Because this thing's made by Festool, the sustainer is actually exactly the same. So it sits on top of a couple of my Festool sustainers. So it's well packaged. It would be portable. There's a handle on there. You could take it to a job site for something. It would be very useful for somebody who's maybe doing design work on flooring in a really fancy house, or maybe design work on some sort of tabletop or cabinets or something. Some situation where you need to take the CNC machine to the workpiece instead of bringing the workpiece to the CNC machine. So, you see Jay Bates and those guys buying these machines that would fill up my entire workshop. They're so large. Obviously, what they're trying to do is accommodate the fact that they might want to work on really large things like 4x8. This is unlimited. I could work on something that was 20 feet by 20 feet because I wouldn't want to, because it's very labor intensive. It's not automated. It's automated to the extent that it will follow your pattern for you. So here's my pros and cons. The pros are it's a very small footprint. It's unlimited workpiece size. It's portable. You can put it in a sustainer and carry it somewhere. It's very flexible. It's only limited by your software. Of course, the CNC is that way too, as long as your workpiece will fit on your CNC. It's manual. The manual control eliminates maybe a lot of programming errors. If you got I don't have a CNC, so I don't know how hard the programming is. But with this one, you can kind of see what you're doing and understand that maybe you made a mistake in the setup and so forth. So might have a little advantage there. It's easier to do simple things maybe. You don't have to use all that software and everything. There's a number of shapes that are built into this, circles and rectangles and things of that nature. I got an automated thing for face control going, so when I wave my hands, it decides that's where to focus. It's you ever get to where you can't read your own writing? Anyway, Wi-Fi enabled, 30-day free trial, probably an equal learning curve to a regular CNC. The disadvantage or the cons are it's very laborious versus being automated. Regular CNC, if your workpiece will fit on a CNC, you can program it, get it started, and go off and do other productive stuff. With this one, you have to operate it, so you're not going to walk away from it. When I did those 4 circles in that jig for my French cleat system back there, because it's a very small bit on it, I had to go around about 6 times, not wanting to overstress the bit. Now, you can put a bigger bit on it. It is a regular router. I mean, it is a router. They call it a spindle, but it's a router. And so as I get more experience, I'll learn how deep I can go, how powerful it is for that. It is variable speed. That's an advantage. But again, the biggest con, and I think there's a 3/4 inch limit on how far it can plunge. And so that certainly could be a big limitation compared to a dedicated CNC. I'm sure the Z, X, Y, and Z, I'm sure a regular CNC has much, much more depth control or whatever that where it can plunge. So anyway, maybe the 3/4 inch will turn out to be a problem. Some of the videos I've seen on it are just fantastic as far as what people are creating by using it. So it certainly has its place. Uh, anyway, I just want to give you a little shot at how it works. Let me get rid of my notes. So I have a workstation. I have to have a lot of these little things here. I got my workpiece in here. I'm going to kind of lock it in place with this with two-sided tape. So my router's got a place to come out here on the edge. The first thing you do is you scan the work surface after you've set it up. And this would be brand new. Each time I leave all of these alone, but I just put new tape on my actual work pieces where the cutting's going. That way I don't have to put tape all over a whole brand new thing, so because that would get expensive. So the machine is on. It's actually plugged in. I need to do a scan. So there's an option here. It says scan. And there's a camera on this back side here. And the camera can see the work surface. I got to tell it new scan. It says scan or add to scan or whatever, or workspaces. So I'm going to do a new scan. It's like a game controller. There's two handles here with buttons on them. So it's like, your kids or your grandkids' Xbox. And so it's telling me always on the screen here, there's a visual screen that's lit up, an LCD that gives you instructions all the time. So right now it's showing me, hey, press the green button to start the scan. So I'm going to kind of aim it over here at the left-hand side, kind of toward you guys. And what you do is you move that camera around so that it sees the tape. And when it recognizes the tape and gets it into its memory, if you will, it turns it blue. And so you just scan the entire surface. No real science to this. Those scanning diamond or whatever they're called, they don't have to be straight. They don't have to be 90 degrees or anything. So I pretty well scanned my entire surface here, drop it in my lap. So I hit the finish button. It's doing, and the computer now is creating a virtual image of this workspace in its memory. And it will even hold that for days and days. So I don't have to finish my job in one day. Maybe it's an intricate logo that I'm doing or something. It now holds that work surface. For demoing for you guys, I'm just going to use an option that just says, instead of importing something, I'm just going to use an option to create. In other words, I don't have to work with any fancy software, excuse me, for certain applications. If I want just a really simple, I'll just do a simple circle. And then it wants to know the diameter of my circle. So let's tell it that I want to do a 4-inch diameter. You gotta be careful. I had 44 there. I touched it twice. So 4-inch, make sure it's not 0.4. Say I'm done. Next, it wants to know, where do you want to place your circle? So I'm going to make sure I place my 4-inch circle so it's above this line here. And I'm just going to put it right here. So there's an option that says, hey, hit the green button when you've placed it where you want it to be. All right, so I've placed it. Next thing I'm going to do is cut. And so in this case, I have to tell it the depth at which I want to cut. So I'm going to cut 1/8 just for the demo here, and I've got there's engraver bits, there's 1/8 bit and 1/4 upcut bits. And I'm sure there's different kinds of bits depending on different jobs, just like there would be for a CNC machine. And I've got what size here. Now I need to tell it how far down from it is to the work surface, so it knows how to plunge 1.25. There goes that. Got to turn that auto mode off somehow, so when I'm waving my hands, it doesn't. It's a facial recognition thing where it's trying to go from person to person based on seeing somebody talking or whatever. Anyway, so there's a thing called a Z touch. That's a thing to tell it calibrate itself for, kind of like when you have a plunge router and you push it down to the work surface and set everything up for your zero position. So it told me that that worked okay. Earlier today, I got some error messages. So I'm basically ready to cut now. So I move it down. Ah, come on. Anybody with me? Hey, Scott, how you doing? Glad you joined. This will be recorded and kind of edited, and not edited a lot, but also posted on YouTube on my channel. So I'm ready to go. It's showing me which way to cut. You can indicate the depth. You can indicate you want to cut inside of the line or outside of the line or on the line. And you can even say, I want to leave a little margin initially. And then you leave that margin, and then on the last pass, you come back and trim away that margin. So that's just a little more precise. I'm basically ready to go. It's also variable speed. Stop that. It's variable speed. And so normally I would hook up my vacuum. I'm not going to do that for your guys' sake. So I'll go ahead and choke on the sawdust here. And but I am having to turn on the spindle, otherwise it wouldn't cut. A router doesn't cut when a router is not spinning. So I'm pretty well ready to go. So now to plunge it, you just press on that button on the. To plunge it, you press on. Let me see if I can change that. Say no, can't change it now. You press on the button and it plunges down and goes the depth that you told it to go. And then it indicates for you the direction it wants you to go. And what you do is you have little crosshairs here like a game, and you follow the pattern that it's putting in front of you. So here we go. It is also self-correcting, meaning that if you get your crosshairs a little too far off, and you shouldn't stop like that because then it'll heat up and burn your surface. The trials and tribulations of filming. So I'm just going around the circle, the direction it told me to. It tells me the direction to avoid any climb cutting. And I'm done. When I feel that it's done, then I just raise it. And in this case, I'll shut it off. And so, got dust everywhere. So there's my circle. Let me bring the camera up and show you. So there's a 0.125 depth of my custom size circle, and I could have made that any size. And so pretty flexible, reasonably easy once you get through some learning curve. This is about my third day on it. I'm starting to feel comfortable with it already. Starting to get a lot of imagination as to what all I can do with it, and trying to figure out how I will then do something to make money to pay for it. So anyway, that's that is the initial impression. I don't think it is right for very many people. First of all, because of the cost, but secondly, you'd have to be in kind of a special situation where a regular CNC wouldn't work for you because you need to take your CNC to the workpiece instead of bring your workpiece to your CNC. So either you have a super small shop like I do, but yet you wanted some of the capabilities of a CNC, but you just can't find the room, or you have a special thing that you do, special application, and this works for you, and it certainly does. But I don't see it in a normal woodworking shop. In other words, all the things, obviously, people have gone for centuries doing woodworking without a CNC or this. I mean, there's ways to learn to cut mortises and tenons by using a chisel and a hammer. So, yeah, I guess that's all I want to say about it. If I was back at the point of buying it, I probably would not. Now that I've got a few days' experience, I would probably just work harder to figure out how to redesign, or relay out my shop in order to accommodate at least a small CNC, and or just finally decide not to have a CNC at all. That probably would have been the smarter choice. But you know, CNCs are like anything. Once initially, when you don't have one, you can't figure out why you need one, and then once you get one, you can't figure out how you ever lived without it. And I'm sure I'll end up concluding that with this tool as well. So I'm going to do a little work, try to figure out how to use it to create a sign or a logo, and carve that in wood, uh, like all the YouTube channel woodworkers do. And so this would be my device to probably do that. And I may even, go ahead and figure out how to get a small CNC, just because I want to be able maybe to have it do things while I'm doing other things. That is the last time that the system's going to overrule me, because I'm going to stop raising my hands. I want to stop. I want to thank my Patreon supporters. I come nowhere near breaking even. I mean, not even close. And I hope some people get some value out of my presentations or my videos. Stay safe in your workshop. And thank you to my patrons and anybody that buys anything on my Amazon links. Uh, I can't, this won't be an Amazon link. Amazon doesn't sell this machine. Rockler does. And of course, Festool does. And they even sell a fancy workstation that won't be delivered till September to help you do all sorts of things with dovetails and mortises and tenons and stuff. So I've actually got that on order. I'm so happy that I had a successful career and I have a few dollars to burn now. Y'all stay safe with this coronavirus. Be healthy. Not a good time to go to the hospital for an injury on your hand. So be safe in your workshop and have a great day. And Scott, thanks for joining.